Hello and welcome to my deck tech or deck show off of my favorite pauper deck, Tatyova Bentic Druid. I recently completed foiling this deck out, and I thought what better opportunity to show off my spending than this video. So, the deck is built around this. First of all, for those who are not aware in what format this is a commander deck, formally. But it's also a Pauper EDH deck. So Pauper EDH is where you take a legendary uncommon creature, such as Tatyova, and build a deck with all commons around it. This specifically is a competitive Pauper EDH deck, so it tries to win very hard. It is a combo deck. It's not a casual deck or a fun brawly deck. No, this tries to combo you fast, efficiently, and it does so usually. As I mentioned, I foiled it out. So this I got from a friend from the PDH Discord. I may link that. It's a pre-release foil, so it fits the theme of like first foil printing, since it's like the firstest printing you could get. It wasn't intentional, but he had it pre-release, so I guess I have that one now. Then come a bunch of cards that are not currently in the deck, either because I didn't include them or I have other prettier foil versions in the deck. But if I want to exchange them, here they are. There are also some Japanese cards in the deck, and if I lend this deck out, I can like exchange them so the person knows what they're playing with instead of random Japanese cards that they don't know what they do. And yeah, let's start it off. So Tatyova is a 5-mana creature that draws a card whenever you play a land, or whenever a land enters the battlefield, more precisely. So we are playing a lot of lands. We are playing the Secret Layer full text lands. I bought them at some point. I've been known of kind of like a rules fan or rules nerd, so these really spoke to me. I have like 23 lines of rules text conveying you what exactly a land does, or a basic land in this case. It's rather neat. Yeah, it was my biggest Magic purchase so far. May have bought like 2 times the 10 pack, so I have 20 of each. And there are, I believe, 18 islands. No, there are 16 islands and 13 forests in the deck. More islands because we lean heavier on blue. And like blue cantrips and stuff. Also, a reason we will come to later, which is a land that requires other islands to be in play. So after the islands, we have some non-basics that are common, like Command Tower, which is a common. There are nicer prints of this, but this one's like €1, and the Judge promo that is more expensive, so I didn't get that yet. But if I get a good offer, maybe I will buy it at some point. Simic Growth Chamber, original foil, Simic Wachstumskammer, really nice one. Rhinewood Falls, which is like a common dual land. It has both land types, forest and island. It comes to play tapped, which is okay. It's snow, it doesn't matter, but it can get found by some cards, so it's important that this is in the deck. Because we have some island cyclers in the deck, and they can find this and then find your green mana by finding this. Then 2 of our fetch lands, quote unquote, which is Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. Really useful with Tatyova, kind of useful at fixing your colors, so kind of nice to have. There's a sack lands from Capenna, which I should probably run in this spot either in addition or instead of one of them, because usually you want to crack them right away, and the sack lands from Capenna gain a life. So maybe I'll do that at some point. But then the star of the show, Mystic Sanctuary, which is kind of like the key of this deck and a lot of other decks in this format in Pauper EDH. And well, in regular Pauper until it got banned. So really powerful card. Island, it's one of the Eldraine lands, so it has a basic land type, and when there are 3 others of the type in play also, it comes into play untapped. And then it does something. In this case, it puts the instant sorcery on top of the deck. Of course, really powerful with Tatyova, because it comes in, does both triggers, and you can stack the triggers in a way where you put the spell on top of your library first, then draw it, So really powerful. There are combos with this that we will come to later, some really exciting ones. But like at the core, we are a ramp deck, right? We want to get a lot of lands into play. We get rewarded by drawing cards, so we want a lot of spells that put lands into play, and we are playing them. First of all, Growth Spiral. There's an F&M promo for this, but I like this one better because it has a watermark. So I got it. 3 Wizards. I didn't have a foil printing when I started building this deck, but received one in random commander set. So nice work there. It's also no longer the most expensive common, so that's nice. Harrow, which I do have the old frame foil for, but I try to build this like... I'll come to frames later, but basically they have a few different ones in this deck, and there's this frame. These two look similar, right? These are like the new frame magic cards. But this is the origin frame. It has like all black at the bottom, and like a few other differences. This is the like older new frame. I just call this new frame or 8th edition frame, and probably this like newest frame. And this 8th edition frame has more color at the bottom, and I generally prefer these printings when there's one available. And putting this out here, I don't like old frames that much, so I'll probably play new frames when they are available in foil. Which for one card they aren't, so look forward to that one if you enjoy old frames. Explore. Just a few of the normal ramp cards you would expect to find in a commander deck. And then the first, this is Cultivate. This is the Mystical Archive printing. I really like those. Not only is it a good card in the deck, it also looks nice. This is the card I actually have the most versions of, because like the most pretty versions of Cultivate out there. I have this one, I have the original print, which was M11. Never knew until I bought it. And there's the M21 full art, which looks really nice. And there's also a secret layer version. Also looks really nice. So at any point I could be playing a few different awesome Cultivates, but for now I've decided to play like all of the Mystical Archives cards I own and can put in this deck. So a few more ramp spells down the line, down switch. This is not a foil printing. It has a foil printing. It was able to see there, but this one looks so much cooler that I decided to include this. So maybe it's not like foiled out, but I think this is more blinked out than the the random other foil. I think it's not close in terms of how pretty they look. So this is like the foil Nature's Law, which also looks nice, but I think this is better. There's, I believe, one more of it. I believe the Preordainer also have from this set. Looks also really good. For our goal of putting a lot of lands into play, we're also playing 5 creatures that tap to put a land into play. This is obviously nice with Tatyova. Normally with these you get the problem that you run out of lands in your hand, but with Tatyova you basically never do, because you just keep drawing cards. These are amazing in the deck. Having one of these like on turn 1 or 2, they're either 1 or 2 drops, 2 1 drops, 3 2 drops, helps you immensely. These are really great cards. And also they have a combo that is, I believe, unique to this deck. I don't think like the normal CDH version of Tatyova plays this. I don't know if such a thing exists, but if it does, I don't think it plays Tidal Ball, and Tidal Ball is amazing in this deck. So let me run through that combo, because I believe it's like probably the most powerful combo in this deck, I would argue. You start off with one of these in play. Let's just for simplicity's sake say it's this one. And it obviously has to be able to tap, so no summoning sickness, has to stay around for 1 round. And Mystic Sanctuary in play, along with 3 islands. So, and this is already enough to combo with Tatyova, obviously, sorry. With this in play, you say this is my library, this is my graveyard. You can float mana, cast Tidal Bore, which I guess I should read it. So it's a spell that's for 2 mana, taps or untaps target creature, but it has an alternate casting cost, where it's similar to Daze. You can just return an island you control instead of paying its mana cost. So what you do is you tap this for 1 mana, cast Tidal Bore by returning this, and untap your Sakura Tribe Elder, or whatever land tapper you have. Then this goes to the graveyard. Then you have this in your hand. You activate your land tapper, put in your Mystic Sanctuary, it comes in untapped. Puts this on top, and then Tatyova draws it. And then you do it again. And this generates mana. This generates infinite mana, actually. And the nice thing about this is that this you probably got with some kind of tutor, which is usually a spell, so like Merchant Scroll. And you can get that back in the last iteration. Instead of getting Tidal Bore back, you can get a tutor back. And you can get a win condition. So this, most of the time, wins the game. And also, as an aside, Tatyova gains a life when you have the land drop thingy, so it also gets infinite life. Pretty great. The other combos in this deck are based around High Tide. And not High Tide, Ghostly Flicker. So this is like combo 1, I would argue. Probably the better one. You land tapper plus Tidal Bore. Combo 2 is Ghostly Flicker and Mystic Sanctuary, which ideally you want 1 more island for. You don't need to, but it's easier. The way to combo with Ghostly Flicker is you cast it. Ghostly Flicker flickers up to 2 lands, creatures, or artifacts. You usually want to flicker lands in this deck. So you target 2 of your lands. Ghostly Flicker exiles, tap them for mana, target them, flickers them, they come back. Untapped, and then Mystic Sanctuary can put Ghostly Flicker back on top. And Tatyova can have you draw it, plus 1 additional card because you flicker 2 lands, not only 1. This goes, as it's shown here, it goes mana negative because you spend 3 mana into it and you only get 2 back by tapping your 2 lands. But High Tide can make it infinite. Same goes for Peregrine Drake. With Peregrine Drake, when that comes in, you untap 5 lands. You flicker Peregrine Drake and Mystic Sanctuary and put this back on top. Then float some mana, Peregrine Drake, and taps your lands. It untaps 5 lands when it comes in. It's a 5 mana creature, so basically free. Also a great attacker. So one of the more powerful combos in the deck for sure. Even when you're not comboing, you can just for 3 mana draw 2 cards, one of them being the Ghostly Flicker again, so you can just do it again and again. And yes, this is how the deck aims to win most of the time, and the rest of the deck is here to help. By either tutoring a combo piece, gaining some kind of advantage, or interacting with the opponent. Or also a lot of counter spells. We'll come to that. For the tutoring, so searching a library for combo pieces, there are a few. Most of them tutor Mystic Sanctuary. As you can see, it was part of both of your combos. You mostly really want it in play, ideally, and to keep it there. So there are these ways to get it. I guess I somehow rank them in order of how nice they are. So crop rotation, probably the best one. 1 mana, you sack a land, you get any land out of your deck into play untapped. It's also a really nice foil. I actually got this at a tournament where I made a bet with a friend that every time I would lose a round, I would buy some expensive foil cards, make some bad decisions. And I lost some rounds. I also have a foil Ponder playset from that weekend, so yeah. I made some bad choices, but this one was one of the good choices. I actually really enjoy this crop rotation. Farseek can get any basic land type except for forest, so it can get an island into play. The bad thing about Farseek is that it puts into play tapped, so Mystic Sanctuary doesn't trigger. Kind of annoying. It can also get your dual land, or like a tapped island, I guess. So it's not completely dead if you have Mystic Sanctuary already in play, which is nice. And none of those are actually. They can always get something else. Lorraine Revealed has island cycling. All of these 3 cards do. Lorraine Revealed probably the best one because it just also draws 3 cards for 5 mana, which is, I guess, a good backup case. Then Tidal, also island cycling for 1 mana only. Amazing. Tidal Terror is island cycling for 2. And I guess some kind of other text. It's a 5/6. You can cast it sometimes, I guess. And Shoreline Ranger, which is the most aggressive creature in the deck, with island cycling for 2 mana and flying. And it's a 3/4 for 6 mana, if you want to hard cast it. There's a bit of a meme going around with this card as like the most aggressive creature in the format, which it really isn't. But I've once won a game where I cast this on like turn 20, where all my combo pieces got exiled by Relic of Progenitors, and I was sitting there basically doing nothing, but I had some counter spells, and I stopped my opponents from winning, and eventually beat them to death with Shoreline Ranger. So, yeah, this is now the most aggressive creature in the format. And I guess it was the most aggressive creature in this deck until we introduced Tidal Terror. As for things that tutor more than just the land, there are these tutors that can get different things. There are 3 transmuters, all in original foil with the nice mouth watermarks. I really enjoy this Dimir watermark. Dizzy Spell can get any 1-drop. That can be either High Tide or one of your friends that taps to put lands in, like Sakura Tribe Scout. It can also get Expedition Map or Crop Rotation, so it can also find Mystic Sanctuary. This can actually find quite a lot. Muddle a Mixture. I just tried to think of the English name. The German one is Verpuschtes Gemisch. So Muddle a Mixture transmutes for any 2-drop in your deck. It can be Farseek to find your Mystic Sanctuary, tapped, I guess. Or Merchant Scroll, which is probably a more important use case. It also just counters an instant sorcery spell, so also good there. Drift of Phantasms, 3 mana transmutes for your Ghostly Flicker, which is nice. It's also Flying Defender, which comes up more than you would guess, so I guess it's also good blocker. You usually want to transmute this, but sometimes you have to block something in the air, so this does the job. And then Merchant Scroll, Handelsvertrag. Really nice card, gets any blue instant or sorcery. And Scratch the Sorcery, gets any blue instant out of your deck. This is the 8th edition foil. It's one of the harder to find cards, let's put it that way. But it looks really nice, and for like an 8th edition foil, which is at this point like a 20-year-old card, it's like in really good condition. One thing I maybe didn't add is that, let's prove this on some other card. I don't double sleeve this deck, so the foil looks, because the foils look nicer when they're like not double sleeved. So all of these cards are just single sleeved, which for some of them hurt. Like for the Merchant Scroll, yeah, the condition is not getting better by playing the single sleeve, but I don't think it hurts the cards much, and it looks way nicer. So I decided it was worth it. So this is what we wanted to do with this deck. Combo off, draw some cards, win the game. How do we stop our opponents from doing anything? Well, this is where counterspells come in, because obviously in EDH or in Pauper EDH you're fighting against 3 other players which may or may not also do stuff, or attempt to do stuff. So we have some amount of counterspells for this. We have, let's make some room. Basically all of the playable ones. We have Fairy Trickery, perhaps the worst one. Lose Focus with Replicate, Unwind, Deprive. Deprive actually insanely good in this deck. I'm not kidding, it's better than Counterspell in this deck. Because you can return Mystic Sanctuary and just get back the Deprive. And if you have a land tap and play, you can do that like instantly. So I've won games with just this card, essentially. It's great. There is the Mana League 8th edition foil, which is the first new frame printing, so that's why I got it. Dispel. This is not the original foil printing. I'm missing that one. I didn't buy it yet, but this one looks nice too, and it's like not like my first priority to get it, I guess. Logic Knot. I do love the future side frame, so I'm really in love with this card. It's also quite cheap nowadays, so I would highly recommend getting it. Puribit, just the modern printing. Counterspell. So there is one Japanese mystical archive in this style for Counterspell also. It is sort of hard to find or expensive. And also this one I got from a friend of mine for teaching him math. So I was giving him some math lessons and he bought me magic cards for it. It's where I got like my Dockside Extortionist from back in the day. And also this Counterspell, so it has some nostalgic value for me. So I'll play it until I get a good offer on a Counterspell in this style, I guess. And then I'll still find a place to play it, right? You have to find a way to play the cards that were gifted to you, I think. And I will find one. Then there is Negate and Memory Lapse. Also just really good counterspells. Arcane Denial, some people say this is like the best counterspell in PDH. I don't know if I agree, but it's certainly a good one. Usually feels good to counter an opponent's spell with this, so. And Flash Counter target instant spell. 8th edition foil. As you may or may not have realized, I do like some 8th edition foils. It's strictly worse than the spell, but the spell is pretty good. The spell is probably your best counter because it's just 1 mana. So we're also playing Flash Counter. It's probably one of the first counter spells I would cut if I were to cut any counter spells, right? Like I guess these like at the top are like the weaker ones, and these are probably the strong. Mystic Sanctuary is not a counter spell. These are probably like the stronger ones. But all of them are good, and all of them help you to be a bit more controlling and like counter some of the interactive spells that are coming your way and trying to disrupt you. So all of them pretty good. And counter spells have the unique property of being good on attack and defense, right? If you want to combo off, counter spell's good. If your opponent wants to combo off, counter spell's also really good. Moving on with some of our other interaction that's not counter spells, like Tamio Safekeeping. This makes it permanent indestructible. It's nice because it can protect your lands, specifically your Mystic Sanctuary. So that's why I included it. I had Vines of Vastwood in this space before, which is nice because it can target opponents' creatures and like sometimes interact with them and like sometimes stop them from doing stuff. But I think like this is just such better effect. Like it makes it permanent indestructible. It gives it you gain 2 life, which is annoyingly often relevant. So yeah, this is great. Momentous Friedens or Moments Peace. I got from the same person as the Tatyova. And it's just a great card against aggro. You just get to buy 2 turns most of the time. It's great. It's I believe it's one of the first additions I made to the deck when I realized that most of the times I was dying, it was because I was getting attacked. So I included it. Capsa is one of the buyback spells in the deck. Really, really nice one. I have won games just hard casting this a bunch. It's one of your win conditions. If someone asks, yeah, you made infinite life, you draw your deck, but how do you win? Well, this is one of the answers, I guess. You just capsize all the permanents and they don't have anything. Then there are the like lose abilities auras in Witness Protection, and Lignify is the English name, I believe. Just makes the creature lose all abilities. You usually put this in your opponent's creatures. It sometimes gets put on your Tatyova. I think they are quite weak. I don't like these effects much, but I guess they're worth an inclusion. Also, this foil looks really nice. Other index spell is Return to Nature. It's like the best disenchant to get rid of one of these auras. It can also exile a card from a graveyard, which is often relevant in the format. As can Relic of Progenitors. Great card to interact with most decks that try to use the graveyard, which is quite a few decks. It sometimes stops you also, so it exiles all the graveyards, which is kind of annoying, but you'll have to live with it. And just a random bounce spell, in this case, Into the Void. Some people really like bounce spells. I don't like bounce spells much, so I'm only playing one. Then there's some card draw. I guess I'll quickly sort by cantrip. So there is a few 1 mana ones or like 0 mana ones in Gitaxian Probe. The usual candidates. You can play Brainstorm or Ponder because you have quite a few shuffle effects, so these are also good in the deck. And Preordain, as I explained, this nice artwork. Whisper of the Muse is probably the weakest one in the cards I'm most likely to cut. But it's sometimes nice when you have infinite mana and only the transmuter, then you can transmute for this and win, so that's nice. Also, I have actually just for 6 mana drawn a bunch of cards like the hard way. In like really grindy games, you just cast this a few times and draw cards. It's kind of good. It's also a future sight foil, so on normal old frames, only the border is foil, and not the mana cost, not the name, and not the artwork, like in this Gush. But on this one, everything's foil. Except for some parts of the artwork, which looks really good in my opinion. I think these are great. Then to my other card draw, there is Gush and Tragic Lesson, which can both bounce your Mystic Sanctuary, which makes them really good. So these can draw through your deck pretty quickly, especially if you have a land tapper. As I explained, the land tappers are really good in the deck. Impulse, Compulsive Research, Frantic Search, Treasure Cruise. Just good cards. And then some Archaeomancers. So Archaeomancer, Mnemonic Wall, and Salvage of Secrets. Kind of nice with Ghostly Flicker. You can like Ghostly Flicker, High Tide, and then win without your commander. So it's nice if it gets like Oublieted or something. Also just general okay cards. Not amazing. I've cut one of them, the Scrivener. That was also in a deck that was like the 4th one, the worst one. Not amazing cards, but also like role players. They sometimes block, sometimes they attack. It's good. Also it has like this really nice secret layer printing. So this was my deck tech, mostly deck show off, I would admit. I've like over the years, every time I play the deck and I have fun with it, I go online and buy a few more cards for it. So it's kind of over like the last year or two, it's been like a bit of my guilty pleasure to buy some foily, nice Magic cards. And yeah, I've recently completed it. There is one card in the deck that's not available in foil, which you may have caught if you have a keen eye. It's the Spoils of Victory. It's one of the cards that can search for an island. It annoyed me a bit. I considered cutting it actually, but I think it's good in the deck, so I'm not going to cut it just because it's not foil. But if something better ever comes along, I will instantly replace it. And I've also like ordered a foil proxy of it, so I guess I'll put that one in next. Yeah. With that, I think this is like half an hour long, so yeah, I'll probably call it here. And thanks for watching my extended deck tech and deck show of Tatyova, Bentic Druid.